The Game Day 1 football preview show is brought to you by Veolia and White Plains Hospital. In 25 years of covering Section 1 football, I don't ever remember Class AA not having a clear-cut favorite going into the postseason like we have in 2024. Welcome to our Class AA preview show for the postseason. Week 8, it's playoff time, and it is Class AA football, which is going to be the most exciting. We are brought to you by Veolia and White Plains Hospital. I want to thank them for their partnerships and what they've done all year for Game Day 1. Kevin Devaney Jr., listen, Class AA, as we said, North Rockland, when I first started covering, was the clear-cut favorite. New Rochelle comes along for about a decade and a half, completely dominates. You had your sprinkles of teams like John Jay's Fishkill winning a second championship, White Plains, but never before have you gone into the postseason not knowing who might even make the championship. We have 8 teams that all have, you can make a good case for all 8. I will make my pick, but first, let's look back on the regular season and pick my MV3s, which is our 3 top players going into the postseason in Class AA. And we started off Jaquan Johnson of North Rockland, man. I mean, he has come on from week 1 and has been awesome. Johnson's numbers, he leads Section 1 in rushing, 797 yards, 14 touchdowns. He's also caught 3 touchdowns. He has North Rockland. They lost week 0 to Monroe Woodbury in Section 9. Monroe Woodbury has gone on to have a great regular season in Section 9. So is North Rockland. They have beaten Scarsdale. Johnson was instrumental in that game. And Johnson just gives North Rockland an element that very few teams have, with an offensive line, a quarterback, the receivers, the complete team that North Rockland has. Very talented group, but Johnson is my first of the MV3s for the regular season. You got to go on the other side to Scarsdale, which is the number 2 seed in Class AA. And look at Ryan Gilligan. Ryan Gilligan has been an absolute monster on both sides of the football. Just ground and pound Scarsdale offense, and Gilligan is at the center of it. Last week, running for 4 touchdowns in the regular season finale just to solidify this regular season for Scarsdale, put them at the forefront of teams in contention in Class AA. He's also been so good defensively. He has been the workhorse on the offense. Ryan Gilligan, just a special talent. He's our number 2 of our MV3s. And now you look at Brian McGrory. Now you look at Carmel. Their season, in many ways, could have just went in the tank after losing Tristan Werlau, their all-state running back. And Brian McGrory refused to let it happen. He has been special throwing the football. This year, he's gone over 240 yards passing in 4 contests. He had 291 against Arlington. Last week, 241, 3 touchdowns against New Rochelle. And McGrory is 21 passing touchdowns in 7 games this season. He is going to be the one who's going to have to lead them in the postseason if they're going to go and win another Section 1 championship. I'm not sure they will, but Carmel is always going to be a threat with McGrory under center. Our GameDay Guardians, we're going to give out our best offensive line in the regular season. And all these offensive lines have been good, obviously, in the playoffs. That's why you get to the offense. That's why you get to the postseason. Good O-lines. But I think Mamaroneck's offensive line is our GameDay Guardians for Class AA. And the reason being is that what's held Mamaroneck back in some years is not being able to line up in the trenches with some of these big New Rochelle, big Carmel, these physical defensive fronts. And this unit can, and they give Mamaroneck a very good chance to, listen, they were my preseason pick to win the section championship. I'm not saying they can't now, but they are definitely in contention because of this group up front. Our Coach of the Year. Now, Coach of the Year is an interesting debate here because it's so hard to give a Coach of the Year of the regular season because so much matters about the playoffs. But when you look at start to finish, what Andy Verbois of Scarsdale did with this group, they sort of came out of nowhere. They were very little talked about. They're a team that, I don't want to say boring, but they're just kind of like, they're always really good, but they're never this good. And he has taken this group and he has nurtured them. They took some lumps a couple years ago with a young unit. They've come on, and now here they are, and they're at the forefront to win a section championship. Andy Verbois, longtime Scarsdale head coach, just a guy who's done a lot for Section 1 and always been around, and this might be his year to win a Section 1 championship. Name to watch in the playoffs, I'm going to go deep down the line here. I like Tyler Pine of Ossining. Tyler Pine, if you don't realize, he has 8 interceptions on the season. He had 3 in the game against Carson South, which was Ketchum's only loss, but just terrific defensively. He had 2 against RCK, another playoff team. And Pine and this Ossining defense. Ossining they're up against it, obviously, going against this Scarsdale team. But I think defensively, they have what it takes to kind of line up and give Scarsdale fits. So I like Tyler Pine in the secondary of this Ossining defense. Now, my championship pick. I'm not going to get too deep into who I think is going to win the first round, second round. Now, look, I think North Rockland is terrific. I think on paper, North Rockland is the most talented team. I think they have the most skilled talent. They have what it takes on the offensive and defensive lines to compete. It's going to be really hard to beat Scarsdale twice. And I think that actually, in some ways, that win that they had on that night game, that Friday night game, when they stopped them on the goal line, they're up 8. Obviously, it didn't decide the game. Did they score a touchdown? Did they not? I think there's a lot of motivation for Scarsdale. And back then, I said this might be the best thing to happen to Scarsdale. And I think it's going to prove to be, in the end, when Scarsdale wins the section championship. I think it's just that hard to beat. These teams are so evenly matched all across the board, where you look at Carmel, Mamaroneck, even Suffern and Arlington. Both of those teams wouldn't shock me if they made the section championship. But Scarsdale, to me, it feels like it's Scarsdale's time. And they're going to be the section champions for the first time since I've ever been doing this. So we'll find out more. My weekly picks are still coming up. You can find those on Thursdays. We get ready for the postseason. A lot of the games you can watch are going to be on Local Live. I'll be broadcasting some. We have section championships in all sports this weekend. Boys soccer, girls soccer, field hockey. So thanks for tuning in. I will see you. Postseason's right here.